It was a little bit of unexpected news this morning as I was coming in on the train. And I think, the approach we took to sort of figure out what this means for investors is going back and looking at a little bit of history, looking at the reference universe for similar public company incidents in the past and what it's meant for stock performance and also what it's meant in terms of the financial impact. In this case, look, I would expect, let's assume a worst case scenario where you have a several $100 million or even north of that financial impact to Marriott. That's roughly $1, maybe $2 per share at the high end of that sort of estimate. So when I see the stock down 5% or more on the news alone, I get the sense that it's a little bit oversold at this point without further information. And we have been defending the stock so far today.
Rich, when you talk about that impact to EPS, are you including the potential impact of a GDPR fine?
It's sort of an all-inclusive number.
Have you done the back of the envelope in terms of if they were to incur the maximum GDPR fine, let's say for even not notifying their customers of the data breach fast enough, because according to GDPR, they've got 72 hours. It has been more than 72 hours. What would that cost them?
That much is unclear. I mean, the only thing I've seen today on that is from one of the insurance rags, which, of course, I'm not an insurance expert, but they are insured for this sort of thing. And if it is indeed in the several $100 million range or more, this is a company with 350 million shares outstanding, $3+ billion of free cash flow every year, fairly predictably. I think at the end of the day, and I don't want to underplay the severity of it, but I think at the end of the day, it's probably less impactful than I think the market's discounting at the moment. But again, there's a lot we don't know. I talked to the company this morning. They've made it very clear that they've done everything that they believe was in their power to do at every juncture along the way. And this is where we are at the moment. I expect there to be more news on this over the ensuing few months. But again, as of currently right now, I do think it's a little bit oversold. And again, let's go back and look at history. In the reference cases that I've looked at, this morning, and it's about 15 companies that have gone through this sort of thing.
And we appreciate that, but the reference cases they didn't have GDPR in effect.
That's a fair point.
And there wasn't the sort of real scrutiny when it comes to data privacy here in the United States either, in terms of a regulatory overhang.
No, that's a very fair point. And the only thing I can say on that right now is that this is going to be a fact of life, not only for Marriott, but for every other competitor in the space and every company outside of, every customer-facing business that I can think of. But, it's a fair point.
The stock is down 15% this year, and so it's already been sort of on this decline prior to this data breach, Rich. There was a recent note out from Goldman Sachs about hedge fund positions and how this had been one of the most popular hedge fund stocks. It became a fallen star. Are you getting the sense now that the hedge funds are flushed out of this and that that trade is over there and at least maybe the stock can find a floor?
Great question. Look, there was so we often pair the lodging C Corps against the lodging REITs. And for a long time, there was a long C Corp short REIT trade on. That flip-flopped earlier this year. And when you look at price and volume and some of those technical indicators, and of course, we talk to clients all the time on the hedge fund side, on the long-only side and so forth. I do get the sense that the short has been a little crowded over the last few months. We took a positive view heading into earnings and, assuming that the outlook for 2019, and Marriott has put out its outlook for 2019, its preliminary outlook, assuming we're not in a recession in the next 12 months, I actually think the stock can do okay. And you could see some short covering, maybe subsequent to kind of what we're experiencing today.